It's time for another mock draft. We're getting started. We're right here. We're on the clock. And first thing I want to address is after this mock draft, I'm going to be having one more mock draft following this one, and then that's it. I'm done with my mock draft season. We will pretty much be ready to go for the NFL draft at this point. I believe it's only like, what, 10 days away? Something along those lines. I know it's stupidly close. So yeah, I've got one more mock draft after this with my friend Logan. He's going to help us give a little bit more in-depth analysis on some of the players who could be available, and then that's it. Then we'll be ready for the NFL draft, which, I won't be attending a draft party this year or anything along those lines. So I was kind of thinking of maybe doing a live stream for the draft. What do you guys think about that? Let me know down in the comment section below. It would be a very long live stream. It would probably be like a 3-hour live stream. It'd be as long as a game, essentially. One of my, live game reaction live streams. So what do you guys think about that? Let me know down in the comments section below. Would you want to see a MrBucsNation, draft watch live stream? I can't show you the draft, obviously, because copyright reasons. It would just be like me watching the games for all of you who have been available for those live streams. But let me know what you think about it down in the comment section below. I think it would be pretty fun if we could all, watch and react to the draft together. Would be a pretty cool scenario. But let's get on with this mock draft. Now, first thing I'm going to say is I'm going to treat this mock draft specifically as a scenario where the top 4 offensive tackles are not going to be available to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I actually just talked about this on another YouTube channel, Real Bucs Talk. I talked about it on a live stream with Mark and Michael. If you guys haven't gone and seen it, go check out the community tab there on the YouTube channel. There is a link to where you can watch that video. But in that live stream, I guess I should say, we did talk about this scenario. What should the Tampa Bay Buccaneers do if all of the top 4 offensive tackles aren't there? Should they reach for an offensive tackle? Should they wait? Should they take a wide receiver? What should the Buccaneers do if the top 4 offensive tackles aren't there? Now, we specifically talked about the wide receiver, specifically Jerry Jeudy out of Alabama. I don't think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers should take a wide receiver in round number 1. I mean, it would be very interesting if they did, and I love a little bit of chaos, but that's a little bit too much chaos in my opinion. So no, I don't think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers should take a wide receiver in the first round of this upcoming draft. Now, I know what people are going to say is right here, you can see it on the list. You're going to say, but James, Justin Herbert, and Jedrick Wills, they are right there. Why don't you just take either one of those guys? Like I said, I'm treating this like the top 4 guys aren't going to be there at the offensive tackle position, Jedrick Wills included. So yes, while he is here on the list, it is a very realistic possibility that he could not be there. So I'm not going to take him just to give as much realism in this scenario as I can. Now, there are 2 things the Tampa Bay Buccaneers could do depending on if or if not the top 4 offensive tackles are there. If the top 4 offensive tackles are not there, their 2 options are this. It's either A, they take Javon Kinlaw, interior defensive lineman out of South Carolina, or B, they trade down and they trade down the pick, essentially, okay? Now, if Javon Kinlaw is there, I have no doubts in my mind that he would be the pick if the top 4 offensive tackles are not there. If he is not there and all 4 of the offensive tackles aren't there as well, I think that they would trade away the pick. But for the purposes of this mock draft, for this simulation scenario, I'm going to say that Javon Kinlaw is going to be there for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers pick, and that is who I'm going to select in the first round of this mock draft. And what can you say about Javon Kinlaw that hasn't already been said? 6'5", 315 pounds out of South Carolina. He is an absolute beast. Him, Vita Vea, and Ndamukong Suh would be absolutely amazing. I think that all 3 of those guys would be so phenomenal with each other. And I'm not knocking William Golson. I think William Golson has had a very good year last year, and he's had a pretty decent career up to this point with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But to get a young guy like Javon Kinlaw, place him in with Ndamukong Suh, with Vita Vea, maybe Suh retires after a year or 2, then you'll still have William Golston, you'll still have Javon Kinlaw, and you'll still have Vita Vea, and you can just keep on transitioning with a very strong defensive line with those three guys moving forward after Ndamukong Suh, retires, because he's probably got maybe 2 or 3 years left at the absolute most. So Javon Kinlaw, I think he's the pick for the present. I think he's a great pick for the future. Him and Vita Vea would be the absolute beasts for the Buccaneers defensive line for many, many years to come, and they would be absolutely amazing in terms of run defense. So Javon Kinlaw, he is going to be my first round draft pick. Now here in the second round, as you guys can see, there's some interesting options. There's Jonathan Taylor, running back out of Wisconsin. There's Zach Bond, edge rusher out of Wisconsin. Again, like I've said before, those are guys who I just don't think are going to be there when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers make their pick. Same thing can be said for Antoine Winfield Jr., safety out of Minnesota. Shout out to you, Danny. That's freaking awesome. But, there are a lot of options here. You see a lot of interior defensive linemen, a lot of wide receivers, a couple of running backs as well. I'm not going to be taking any of those guys with this second round draft pick. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. I know some people said they wanted to see the whole big board of players that were left available, so here you go. But I'm going to scroll down here to the 63rd overall prospect, Lucas Niang, offensive tackle out of TCU. He's basically a clone of DeMar Dotson, 6'7", over 300 pounds. The guy can go. Now, I am not drafting Lucas Niang from TCU. I'm not drafting him right away to say, hey kid, you're going to be our starter. I think that he can compete for a starting job at right tackle with Joe Haeg, who the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just signed in free agency. Now, if this was one of the tackles that was drafted in the first round and, he was on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I would expect him to probably be the starter right away. But in the case of Lucas Niang, second round draft pick out of TCU, I'm going to have him compete with Joe Haeg for that starting right tackle job. Whoever wins, honestly, it's just kind of a, win-win scenario for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because I think that would be a very fierce, very strong competition, and whoever won, hey, you'd have a very capable backup at the right tackle position for whoever lost that training camp battle. So Lucas Niang, offensive tackle out of TCU, he is going to be my second round draft pick. I'm shoring up the offensive line right after I just finished shoring up the defensive line. We're here to the third round, and, you see some guys here. Jeremy Chin, safety out of Southern Illinois. Devon Hamilton, interior defensive lineman out of Ohio State. You see a lot of guys here, okay? Again, I don't think that those three guys are going to specifically be there for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers pick, but one guy I really do think who could be there, he is literally only one spot ranked, above the Tampa Bay Buccaneers pick. Antonio Gibson, running back out of Memphis. I freaking love this guy. I want him to be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer so badly. 6'1", 223 pounds, and I know I've been pounding the drum saying the Buccaneers don't need to take a starting running back because they have Ronald Jones. I still believe that. I still think that Ronald Jones should get 75% of the touches for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers backfield, but if there's one guy who could come in, take that other, say 20, probably 20, let's just say 20, and then the other guys can get 5%, Dare Ogunbowale, TJ Logan. I love you, TJ Logan. It is definitely Antonio Gibson, okay? I think Antonio Gibson could be the perfect receiving back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I think that Ronald Jones is an undervalued receiving back. However, I did just hear Bruce Arians say recently, receiving, screen stuff, that's not really Ronald Jones' forte. And I'll take his word for it. I do think that he can do that, but if the coach is saying that, that will make you think a little bit as to what the Buccaneers draft plans are. So, taking that information in my mind, I'm going to be taking Antonio Gibson here. I've been mocking him to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers the past couple of mock drafts. I'm going to continue to do it here. I think he would be absolutely phenomenal, really have a James White, Dion Lewis type of role with Tom Brady that, Brady has obviously had back in New England, and I think that he would absolutely flourish as the Buccaneers receiving back in year number 1. Him and Ronald Jones together would be absolutely lethal, so Antonio Gibson, running back out of Memphis, is going to be my third round draft pick. Here we are in round number 4, and guys, I have agonized over this pick for probably like 20 minutes, okay? Now, I know there's some very interesting options here. Bradley Anae, edge rusher out of Utah. Alex Highsmith, edge rusher out of Charlotte. Both those guys I don't think are going to be here by pick number 117, but I thought I would at least mention them. You also have some very interesting wide receivers. Courtney Davis, wide receiver out of Texas A&M. Kenny Wilecki's, edge rusher out of Michigan State, as well as some other wide wide receivers, Lynn Bowden, wide receiver out of Kentucky down there, Gabriel Davis, wide receiver out of UCF. Those guys would all be very, very interesting picks, but I saw one player and I thought, man, I've really got to have this guy. And I'm going to scroll down a little bit. He's prospect number 139. It is James Morgan, quarterback out of FIU. I'm taking James Morgan here with the Buccaneers' first of 2 fourth-round draft picks, because they also have a comp pick as well. I will talk about what I'm going to do with that pick here in a minute, but talking about James Morgan, first thing I want to point out, because I know people are going to scoff, some people are going to scoff at the idea of the Bucs taking a quarterback in round number 4. First off, there's plenty of people who think the Buccaneers will take a quarterback in the first 3 rounds, so me waiting until round number 4 to address other needs on the team, hey, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and give myself a pass on that one. But going even further than that, talking about what Jason Light specifically has said about taking a quarterback in this upcoming draft. 2 times now he has said that they would be interested in taking a quarterback in this draft. The first time he said it was back at the NFL Combine. He said in a press conference, he said, yeah, for sure we would enjoy taking a quarterback in this upcoming draft, and I'm paraphrasing there. But he also said it in a very recent Buccaneers press conference with a lot of the local media, which if you guys haven't seen it yet, go check it out. It's on the Buccaneers YouTube channel, but he again reiterated, he echoed what he said back at the Combine. You know, if the right guy's there at one of our picks, we would be interested in taking a quarterback for sure. I think that guy is James Morgan. He has all the intangibles of what you want to see in a quarterback. He's 6'4", over 200 pounds. He's got the size, he's got the look, he's got the arm. I know some people are more concerned with his decision making and his accuracy issues, but I feel with a group of guys like Tom Brady, Clyde Christensen, Bruce Arians, Byron Leftwich, and Tom Moore, those 5 guys are going to be helping you out for at least 1 year, if not 2. I imagine at least, 4 of them would probably stick around for 2 years, depending on what happens with Byron Leftwich and whether or not he gets a head coaching job. But those 4 to 5 guys teaching you for 2 years, learning behind the GOAT Tom Brady, that would be incredible. And I feel James Morgan already has all of the, size and ability and intangibles. I think he just needs a little bit more fine-tuning, in what better place to be in to get that fine-tuning than in Tampa Bay right now. So James Morgan, he's going to be my pick. He would be battling with Blaine Gabbert for the backup quarterback job. Sorry, Ryan Griffin. And I think that it would be one heck of a quarterback room with Tom Brady, Blaine Gabbert, and James Morgan. James Morgan being your guy for the future, and he is learning behind some very incredible people. So James Morgan, he's going to be my first of 2 fourth-round draft picks. Here with my next 4th round draft pick, this is actually a comp pick that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers got due to their losses in free agency last year, Quan Alexander, Adam Humphries, among others. I'm going to go to the offensive side of the ball again. Now I know in other mock drafts, I've been very heavily involved with the offensive line. I believe, in most mock drafts, I've been seen at least taking 2 offensive linemen. I'm not going to do that, at least up to this point so far. My mind could change, but I'm actually going to be taking a skill position player. I'm going to be taking a wide receiver, that wide receiver being Devin Duvernay, wide receiver out of Texas. I think that he is going to be an absolutely electric slot wide receiver and even an outside perimeter threat for any team, hopefully the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. 5'11", 202 pounds. Some of his best attributes are his speed, his hands, and his overall physicality. That screams, very underrated wide receiver in my opinion. The Buccaneers just lost Brashad Perriman. They need more depth at the wide receiver position. Even Bruce Arians himself, when asked about which position group he, really does enjoy, scouting and whatnot for this upcoming draft, he said the wide receivers, oh my God, there's like a little bit of everything with this wide receiver group. And that falls in line with what a lot of people think, that thought process being that this wide receiver draft class could be legendary, okay? So I think the Buccaneers are going to get a little piece of that pie. I think they're going to be taking Devin Duvernay, wide receiver out of Texas, with their comp pick in the 4th round. I feel like he'd be a great slot guy, at least a phenomenal depth piece, because right now, behind Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, their depth is a little bit weak, especially since they just lost Brashad Perriman in free agency. I feel like Devin Duvernay would contribute right away. He is the 2nd second, fourth round draft pick for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in this mock draft. With my next pick here in the 5th round, I am going to be taking interior offensive lineman Kyle Murphy out of Rhode Island. And I know everybody's going to say, Rhode Island, James, what the heck are you talking about? This is a typical Jason Licht pick, in my opinion, okay? Small school guy from Rhode Island, you know, Jason Light's going to bring him in. The guy's best trait, Kyle Murphy, that is his athleticism, his worst trait right now being his technique. But I really trust the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive line coaching staff. I trust Harold Goodwin to get his guys ready. I feel like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive line was a little bit underrated last year. Ryan Jensen had a phenomenal year. Ali Marpet was still as solid as ever. And Alex Kappa also did some really, really awesome things as well, considering how he did in year number 1. His jump from year 1 to year 2, Alex Kappa that is, was absolutely amazing. So I'm going to be adding a backup guard to this offensive line in the form of Kyle Murphy. I told you guys I was going to go back to investing in the offensive line. If his best trait is his athleticism, which is what all the scouts are saying, and his worst technique is his worst trait, I guess I should say, is his technique right now, I trust the guys that the Buccaneers have to get him ready to go. And if he already has athleticism, which you can't teach that, if he just polishes up his technique, he could be a fringe starting level type of guard and have some very good starting level competitions with Alex Kappa in the future. So Kyle Murphy, interior offensive lineman out of Rhode Island, is going to be my pick. We're here with my final pick in the 6th round, and he might not be there. But I'm going to do it anyway, considering how close it is. Prospect number 189, linebacker Michael Divinity Jr. out of LSU. He is going to be my 6th round selection. I want to keep the trend going of Jason Licht picking linebackers out of LSU because I think that is absolutely amazing. He took Quan Alexander. He took Devin White. He took Kendall Beckwith. I wanted to keep on going, and I want him to take Michael Divinity in the 6th round, or maybe even the 5th round, depending on how the Buccaneers want to do things this year. Please, I want the trend to keep on going. But why am I taking Michael Divinity, okay? It's not just because he went to LSU, okay? I saw this guy play and practice at the East-West Shrine game myself, and I can say that this guy is stupidly athletic, okay? He is definitely continuing the trend of LSU linebackers being very good at the football, okay? He, I think, is a very underrated prospect, and I think that he has a lot to add as an inside linebacker for any NFL team for that matter. But why am I adding him to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Arguably the deepest position on our team right now is the inside linebacker group. And I will say, yeah, it's pretty darn deep. You have Lavonte David, Devin White, you have Kevin Minter, you have Jack Sitchie, and then you have Noah Dawkins as well, who the Buccaneers added late last season. But I feel like they should add Michael Divinity for this reason, okay? I feel like he could beat out Noah Dawkins relatively easily. Then whenever you move up the depth chart to Jack Sitchie, that's where things get a little bit more questionable, okay? How good is Jack Sitchie? I think he is good. Remember, I've always hyped up Jack Sitchie, okay? The man has ability. It's just, can he stay healthy? It's an unfortunate thing to be mentioning this, but Jack Sitchie just can't seem to stay healthy. I believe he suffered a torn ACL in his rookie year, and then just most recently, I believe he dislocated his elbow in his 2nd year with the team. So that's 2 very long-term injuries that Jack Sitchie has suffered with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that have sidelined him for many, many weeks, if not months, for this team. I feel like the Buccaneers need to be prepared in that scenario, okay? Because we've had scenarios last year where Lavonte David or Devin White, it was mainly Devin White, who couldn't go, an entire game, so you have to rotate some guys in. Kevin Minter did a really good job of that, but I feel like you need a little bit more depth at that position. Same thing that I was saying with the wide receiver core earlier in this video. You need to have a little bit more depth, and I think that Michael Divinity could be that depth. Maybe the Buccaneers would carry 5 inside linebackers. Maybe they would have Lavonte David, Devin White, Kevin Minter, Jack Sitchie, and Michael Divinity Jr. That could be a thing, and I wouldn't be mad at that at all because that would make a lot of sense, okay? Those 5 guys are all very good inside linebackers, but I feel with the uncertainty with Jack Sitchie, with his injury history, at the end of the day, he is a 6th round draft pick. You need to be prepared, and you need to just continue to add depth just in case if injury injuries do occur. Michael Divinity, he is that insurance policy. I think that he has tremendous upside. Him and Devin White could be the future of the Buccaneers inside linebacker position in a post-Levante David era, and he's going to be my 6th round draft pick as well as the final pick for this mock draft. Did you guys have fun? I personally had a blast with this mock draft. This is one of the better mock drafts I think I have had, in my opinion, okay? Javon Kinlaw, Lucas Niang, Antonio Gibson, James Morgan, Devin Duvernay, Kyle Murphy, and Michael Divinity Jr. I am really happy with that mock draft. I think all of these guys have tremendous potential for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I didn't even, it wasn't unrealistic, okay? This was very realistic in my opinion. All of these guys, you saw the rankings, you saw the draft board itself, all of these guys were ranked appropriately with where I picked them. So, guys, let me know what you think about this mock draft down in the comment section below. Continue to give your mock drafts, please. I love reading them. They're very good inspiration for me, and it just adds to the discussion, adds to the conversation, okay? But guys, I have one more mock draft after this. We'll be going up sometime, in the next week or so with my friend Logan, as well as let me know what you guys think about the idea of live streaming, my reaction to the first round and more of the NFL draft. Let me know what you think about all that down in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. Hope y'all enjoyed, and I will see you in the next video or the next live stream. But until then, and as always, guys, goodbye for now, and go Bucs.